in Delta State, was alive with its usual sounds, the chattering of market women, the honking of buses, and the cries of hawkers selling everything from oranges to colorful Ankara fabrics. In the midst of this vibrant chaos lived Kate, a bright-eyed young girl who was full of hope despite the hardships life had thrown her way. At 19, she had already tasted sour far too bitter for her years. Kate's life changed forever when her mother passed away unexpectedly. Her mother, the anchor of her little world, was the one who had shielded her from the harsh realities of life. Losing her left Kate adrift, vulnerable to the cruel winds of fate. Her stepmother, Auntie Ada, was not the kind, nurturing figure Kate had desperately hoped for. Instead, she was a harsh woman with sharp eyes who seemed to find fault in everything Kate did. Ada treated her stepdaughter more like a servant than a child, assigning her grueling tasks that left her hands blistered and her spirit weary. Every evening, while other children played or sat by lantern light doing their homework, Kate was sent to the stream to fetch water. The path to the stream was long and winding, bordered by tall, whispering grasses that seemed to mock her plight. At night, the sounds of nocturnal creatures often sent shivers down her spine. But Kate bore it all in silence. She had no one to complain to, no one to share her burden. One cool afternoon, while gathering firewood in the forest, Kate stumbled upon a patch of wildflowers. She paused for a moment, allowing herself the rare luxury of enjoying their beauty. As she reached out to pluck a flower, she heard a voice behind her. "Those flowers are as beautiful as you." Startled, Kate turned to see a young lady standing a few feet away. The girl's skin was so fair it seemed to glow under the sun, and her smile was warm and inviting. "My name is Ifeoma," the girl said, stepping closer. "I come here often to escape the chaos of home." "And you?" Kate hesitated, unsure if she could trust a stranger, but something about Ifeoma's demeanor was comforting. "I'm Kate," she replied softly, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. "I come here to gather firewood." Ifeoma frowned. "Alone? That's dangerous." Kate shrugged, used to the dangers that seemed to define her life. "I don't have a choice." From that day, the two girls became inseparable. Whenever Kate went to the forest, she found Ifeoma waiting for her. Ifeoma would bring snacks, and the two would sit under the shade of a giant tree, sharing their dreams. Kate confided in Ifeoma about her stepmother's cruelty, and Ifeoma offered her the kind of support Kate hadn't felt since her mother's passing. Despite the small comfort Ifeoma brought into her life, Kate's troubles continued. One evening, Auntie Ada called her into the sitting room. "Kate, pack your things," she ordered, her voice devoid of any warmth. "You're going to Enugu tomorrow. I've arranged for you to work in a good house there." Kate's heart sank. She had hoped to finish school someday, to perhaps learn a trade and build a better future for herself. But she dared not argue with Ada. The next morning, she found herself on a bus headed for Enugu, clutching a small bag containing her meager belongings. The house in Enugu was large and imposing, with shiny tiles that made Kate nervous about leaving footprints. Her new employers were a wealthy couple with 3 young children. They made it clear from the start that her job was to cater to their every need. From cleaning to cooking to babysitting, Kate was kept busy from sunrise to midnight. Years passed, and Kate's dreams of education faded like a distant memory. She was stuck in a routine that left no room for personal growth or happiness. Yet, she held on to the belief that her life could still change. Fate smiled at Kate one afternoon when she was sent to the market to buy groceries. As she navigated the crowded stalls, a familiar voice called out, "Kate. Is that you?" Turning around, Kate saw Ifeoma standing a few feet away, her face lit with joy. The two friends embraced, their laughter drawing the attention of nearby shoppers. "What are you doing here?" Ifeoma asked, her voice filled with excitement. Kate explained her situation, and Ifeoma's expression turned serious. "This isn't the life you deserve," she said firmly. "We'll figure something out." For the first time in years, Kate felt a flicker of hope. Ifeoma had always been her source of strength, and now, she seemed determined to help Kate find a way out of her misery. With Ifeoma back in her life, Kate felt a renewed sense of purpose. Ifeoma was now living in Enugu as well, working as a shop assistant for a kind woman named Madam Gechi, who sold fabrics in the city center. Unlike Kate, Ifeoma's job allowed her a bit more freedom, and she promised to help Kate in any way she could. One weekend, Ifeoma invited Kate to Madam Gechi's shop. The fabric's bright colors and customers' laughter created a lively atmosphere that was far removed from the dreariness of Kate's daily life. "Kate, why don't you join me here?" Ifeoma suggested as they sat outside the shop eating roasted corn. Kate shook her head. "I can't just leave. The family I work for won't let me go so easily." Ifeoma frowned but didn't press the issue. "You deserve more than this," she said softly. Kate knew she was right, but leaving her job felt impossible. Her employers relied on her, and though they weren't kind, they weren't cruel either. It was a kind of stability, even if it came at the cost of her dreams. The news that changed everything. One rainy evening, Kate returned home from a long day of chores. As she was preparing dinner for the family, her employer's wife handed her a letter. "It's for you," she said without looking up from her phone. Kate's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. The letter was from a distant relative in Asaba, informing her of Auntie Ada's death. The news brought mixed emotions. Ada had made her life difficult, but she was the only family Kate had left in her hometown. Now, with her gone, Kate felt a deep, unsettling loneliness. Ifeoma was the first person Kate turned to. "It's strange," Kate admitted as they sat together in Ifeoma's small room. "I don't know whether to feel sad or relieved." "You're free now," Ifeoma said, holding Kate's hand. "This is your chance to start fresh. We'll figure out how to get you out of that house." A few weeks later, Ifeoma introduced Kate to a young man named Chucks. He was from Edo State and worked as a mechanic in Enugu. Chucks's easy smile and gentle demeanor immediately put Kate at ease. Over time, their friendship grew into something more. Chucks was patient and understanding, giving Kate the support and kindness she had long craved. One evening, Chucks invited Kate and Ifeoma to dinner at his sister's house. During the meal, his sister, Amoka, brought up the idea of traveling to Europe. "There are so many opportunities there," she said enthusiastically. "If you and Chucks work hard, you can build a good life together." The idea excited Kate. She had always dreamed of escaping her circumstances, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. After much discussion, it was decided that Kate and Chucks would join Amoka on her next trip abroad. Kate's heart was filled with hope as she embarked on the journey with Chucks and Amoka. The trip was long and filled with challenges, but Kate remained optimistic. She imagined a future where she could build a home, go to school, and finally live the life she had always dreamed of. However, fate had other plans. Midway through the journey, unforeseen circumstances forced Kate and Chucks to part ways. The separation was sudden and painful, leaving Kate stranded and uncertain about what to do next. She eventually found her way back to Nigeria, heartbroken and disillusioned. Back in Nigeria, Kate struggled to pick up the pieces of her life. It was during this time that she met Connor, a businessman who seemed to have it all. Connor was charming, attentive, and full of promises. He told Kate he wanted to marry her and give her the life she deserved. For a while, it seemed like her luck had finally turned. Connor helped Kate build a house in the city, and soon after, they welcomed their first child. Life felt stable for the first time in years, and Kate dared to believe she had found a happy ending. But Connor's true nature began to reveal itself. He became controlling, criticizing Kate for everything she did. He spent less and less time at home, often leaving Kate alone with their children. The stress of their marriage took a toll on her health, and one fateful day, Kate suffered a heart attack. Lying in the hospital, Kate realized she couldn't continue living this way. When she confronted Connor about his behavior, he dismissed her concerns and accused her of being ungrateful. Not long after, he abandoned her and their 2 children altogether. Kate was devastated, but she refused to let Connor's actions define her life. She picked herself up and began working tirelessly to provide for her children. With time, she built a successful business, transforming her modest shop into a thriving enterprise. Years later, Kate became a symbol of strength and resilience in her community. Her children were thriving, and she had finally found peace and happiness. Meanwhile, Connor's life had taken a downward spiral. His business failed, and he was left struggling to make ends meet. One day, Connor appeared at Kate's door, looking haggard and defeated. "Kate," he said, his voice trembling. "I've made so many mistakes. Please, take me back." But Kate, now a confident and independent woman, smiled and said, "I've forgiven you, Connor, but I've moved on. My happiness doesn't depend on you anymore." Kate stood firm in her resolve. Connor's plea for reconciliation lingered in her mind, but not out of longing, rather, as a reminder of how far she had come. She looked around her small but growing enterprise. Her shop, which once sold only a few basic goods, now attracted customers from all over the city. Kate had learned the art of reinvention, and her business success was proof of her resilience. As Kate's business grew, so did her connections in the community. She hired young women who reminded her of her younger self, girls with big dreams but no clear path. She taught them how to manage the shop, balance accounts, and interact with customers. They called her Auntie Kate, a title she wore proudly. One of these young women, Neka, was particularly ambitious. Neka had dropped out of school to care for her siblings after their parents died. Kate saw her potential and encouraged her to dream again. "You're more than your circumstances," Kate told her one afternoon. "With hard work and determination, you can achieve anything." Kate's mentorship extended beyond her shop. She started a small foundation to support women in similar situations, providing them with basic education, vocational training, and a sense of purpose. The foundation became a beacon of hope, attracting attention from local leaders and even the media. One bright afternoon, as Kate was busy organizing supplies in her shop, she heard a familiar voice call her name. Turning, she saw Ifeoma standing at the entrance, looking as radiant as ever. It had been years since they last saw each other, but their bond remained strong. "Ifeoma!" Kate exclaimed, rushing to embrace her friend. Ifeoma had heard about Kate's success and came to see it for herself. The two friends spent hours catching up, reminiscing about their forest meetings and the twists and turns of life. Ifeoma, now a nurse, had moved to Lagos but promised to stay in touch more often. "I always knew you were meant for greatness," Ifeoma said, smiling warmly. "You've turned your pain into power, and I'm so proud of you." As Ifeoma shared stories about her life, she mentioned a mutual acquaintance, Chucks. "He's back in Nigeria," she said casually. "He's doing well now. You should talk to him." The mention of Chucks brought back memories of their time together. Though their separation had been painful, Kate remembered him as a kind and genuine person. After much thought, she decided to reach out to Chucks. Watch out for part 2, as Kate is about to be drawn down.